every day. Thanks for taking time out of your morning to join us for this bird's eye look ahead at the 2022 NDEAM campaign we're launching in about 33 days from today. You know, it's kind of weird this year with October starting on a Saturday. So Monday, October 3rd is officially the start of the first full week of National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Our aim with this session is to have you signing off from it feeling energized about NDEAM and getting involved in it. In other words, that it'll invigorate you, motivate you, be a shot in the arm, give you a jump start, a kickstart, even turbocharge you to participate in this year's campaign with us and keep the conversation about disability inclusion going. Now, you can probably tell from my voice and use of all those synonyms that I'm energized about NDEAM. As Sue mentioned, if any questions come to mind while you're listening in, please keep your mic on mute and hold that thought for the Q&A session. On that note, let's get started with this NDEAM look ahead. We've got a mixed audience this morning. Some of you may be familiar with NDEAM and some of you may not. National Disability Employment Awareness Month, or NDEAM. This is when it happens every year and what it's all about. There's an international human rights law you may have or may not have heard of, the 2006 United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The core of the CRPD is this: access to employment and to be able to fully participate in the economy, in workplaces, and in their communities is a basic human right for people who have a disability, just like everyone else. 15% of the world's population, that's more than 1.8 billion people, have a disability. The world's largest minority group is also the most underutilized and unemployed minority group in the world. So raising awareness and keeping the conversation about disability inclusive hiring going is important, especially this year as businesses begin refocusing after 2 years of coping with the COVID-19 pandemic and adapting to different ways of working and doing business. And this is what NDEAM does. It raises awareness and helps keep the conversation going. NDEAM has actually been around since 1946. It was started in the US following the end of World War II. In Canada in recent years, there's more and more recognition of NDEAM. Last year, some parts of the country recognized it for the first time by participating in the flagship event of our NDEAM campaign, Light It Up for NDEAM. I'll get to that in a few minutes. You could advance the slide for me. Odin launched its first NDEAM campaign 6 years ago. This is the 4th NDEAM campaign I've worked on. My time does fly by. I keep remembering back to the summer of 2019 when I had about 6 weeks to develop my first NDEAM campaign, and I'd never heard of NDEAM until then. 4 campaigns later, I can tell you, we always work hard to develop an NDEAM campaign that's engaging, that's interactive, that has a lot of different elements, that gets you thinking, that motivates you to get involved, that inspires you to take action. Maybe that action is spreading the word and raising business awareness about disability and employment, engaging with businesses. Or maybe that action is taking the first step on the inclusive hiring journey during NDEAM and continuing the journey once October's over. Next slide, please. The root of every NDEAM campaign is the theme, because every element is centered around it. This is our theme for 2022. We're taking a look at how disability inclusion is reshaping the nature of work now and in the future. Lots of engaging and informative elements, lots of ways to get involved. I'll get to all of that in a minute or two. But first, a bit about what's behind our driving the future of work with disability inclusion theme. Advance the slide, please. It's the substance of a theme that really matters. It needs to resonate, be a reflection of something, have solid goals and messages behind it. Because a theme without purpose and foundation, well, it's just a tagline. This year's theme reflects what's happening in 2022 in a new normal of work brought about by a combination of forces over the last 2 years. Fast evolving technology, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the resulting shift to a new normal in how and where people are working and want to work now. There's the labor shortage, caused largely by accelerated and early retirement of older workers and not enough younger workers available and willing to fill the gaps. It's all created opportunities for job seekers who have a disability that previously there were barriers to. But the needle still needs to move more. Concerns about workplace accommodations, specifically for employees who have a disability, well, they've really become a moot point because over the last 2 years, companies adapted and millions of employees were accommodated one way or another with technology and flexible work options. And there's general acknowledgement now that there's been a dramatic shift in talent recruitment. Now, job seekers are in the driver's seat. They're more discerning about employment and career opportunities they'll apply for and accept, the work flexibility they want, the kinds of businesses their personal values are aligned with, and whether those companies have inclusive cultures. And this applies to all job seekers, regardless of whether they have a disability. Next slide, please. So maybe you're wondering just how or how much and why disability inclusion is driving the future of work. Well, for one thing, it's because the number of Canadians who have a disability is increasing. If you're a stats and facts kind of person, well, I can tell you there are plenty of statistics and facts available on how disability is increasing and how this will reshape the nature of work in the years ahead. Then there's diversity, equity, and inclusion, all the business conversation about creating more diverse and inclusive workplaces. It's inclusive companies that are going to fare best in the future. That's what the statistics and the research say. Disability is diversity, and diversity includes disability, which means companies need to more fully embrace disability inclusion. Make sure it's part of the DEI business conversation. Make sure it's part of their overall recruitment strategy in the future of work, because it's key to continued business success. Change is happening. The introduction of a March 2021 report called The State of Disability Employee Engagement says this: we are at the precipice of significant change as the world begins to understand that disability is diversity, and it's time to change the way companies recruit, hire, engage, and retain talent with disabilities. Next slide. Many businesses are probably already recruiting and hiring people who have a disability, may already have employees and senior business leaders who have a disability, except the organization probably doesn't know it. So this is another reason why disability really is driving the future of work, just not in an obvious way. An Accenture study found that 76% of employees and 80% of business executives don't fully disclose their disability. Employees need to feel their workplace is inclusive and safe enough for them to feel comfortable doing that. You can't just state your commitment to DEI on your website or in a job posting. You've got to show your commitment through action. The challenge is DEI goals and actions often take a back seat when business priorities need to shift, as they've needed to over the last 2 years. Businesses were focused on adapting to different ways of operating in a public health crisis. It's important for businesses to not lose focus of DEI goals and making disability inclusion part of them and the DEI business conversation, because in the long term, it isn't good for business. You'll see why in a couple of minutes on the next couple of slides. It's important for both sides to keep the conversation going, for businesses, for everyone who works on the employment service provider side to engage with each other. So all of this is why National Disability Employment Awareness Month remains important, especially this year. Next slide, please. Our campaign theme reflects that disability inclusion is still changing the nature of work more than ever, despite a stall caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, as businesses shifted priorities to get through it. In May, the Valuable Truth Report 2022 found, although the pandemic slowed, halted, or stalled major gains in employment and cultural improvements, it hasn't dampened intention, commitment, or enthusiasm. 70% of businesses surveyed for the report said they're actively investing in services and supports for employees who have a disability. And 85% are working to remove top barriers to employment. But awareness of disability inclusion in the workplace needs to be increased again. When anything stalls, it disrupts progress. In this case, we're talking about lingering misconceptions about disabilities and concerns about hiring people who have a disability that all stem from a lack of awareness. On the one side, a US study titled Survey of Employer Policies on the Employment of People with Disabilities found that 72% of employers think having employees who have a disability projects a positive image for their business with both customers and prospective employees. But at the same time, 87% of the businesses surveyed in 2018 had at least one concern about hiring people with disabilities and were less likely to recruit from this talent pool. Next slide, please. I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that losing focus of inclusion goals isn't good for business in the long term. And here are a couple of reasons why. There's a lot of competition out there today across every business sector. To stay competitive and successful, businesses need to listen to and be responsive to their customers. They need to show brand leadership. They need to be innovative. They need to be agile and quickly able to adapt to changing circumstances. That graphic on the left is from a Deloitte report, and it says a lot about what fully embracing disability inclusion does for innovation and agility. Now, disability inclusion can drive the future continued success of a business when it's thought of, approached, and put into action strategically. You know, not so long ago in this country, there was a lot of resistance to disability inclusion in business and employment, largely because of attitudes towards and perceptions of disability. It was never given a thought in strategic business planning. But as that other graphic on the right shows, there's been a lot of progress. Today, savvy business leaders understand, or are beginning to understand, that when their business goals and disability inclusion are closely aligned, well, that inclusion can drive future business success. Next slide, please. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. This quote sums it up nicely. And it's from a savvy CEO. His name is Ken Locchiato. He's the president and CEO of Convergent, the security and safety products firm. When I was doing some research for our 2022 article series, I came across this quote in a short video in which Ken talked about why his company's so focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it really speaks to the alignment of business goals and inclusion. Next slide, please. When disability inclusion has the power to drive the future of work, the future success of businesses across every sector, it makes perfect sense to start the journey now and focus on disability inclusion every day, not just for 31 days in October. The theme and NDEAM present an opportunity for businesses to position themselves for the future by reviewing their current hiring practices, processes, and technology, and be introspective about the inclusiveness of their company culture. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, disability is diversity, and it's diverse, inclusive organizations reflecting the communities they serve that will be the businesses that thrive most in the future of work. This is what the experts in lots of research say that's out there. If you're an employment service provider, the 2022 campaign is an opportunity to keep educating business owners, hiring managers, and HR professionals about misperceptions around disability, to get them in the know now, to keep the conversation going and reignite awareness. It's a good time to start conversations, to get action and progress back in gear, to start the journey of making disability inclusive talent recruitment and hiring business as usual for everyone involved, because it's a winning scenario for everyone. Next slide, please. Creating a culture in which disability inclusion is a driving force for growth and success isn't just about the bottom line. Other things are important too, like your brand reputation. Your brand is everything you say and do, and how you say and do those things. An Angus Reid Rick Hansen Foundation survey in November 2021 found 62% of Canadians would be more likely to do business with a company if they knew the business had specific policies to support employees who have a disability. Commitment to disability inclusion also drives leadership. It positions your business as an industry leader a leader in DEI. You're setting an example for others to follow now and in the future. And practically, commitment to disability inclusion is a solution to labor needs. It can help businesses successfully navigate through the growing labor shortage that's happening across sectors for the foreseeable future. Next slide, please. Disability inclusion driving the future of work this way. It makes a business an employer of choice now and in the future. A 2020 survey found that 70% of job seekers want to work for a company that demonstrates commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, making you an employer of choice. And in a study by the Job Accommodation Network, 90% of businesses surveyed said providing an accommodation for employees who have a disability helped them retain a valued employee. Over the last 2 years, the use of technology in the workplace increased exponentially as the world adapted to new and different ways of working. Well, in the future of work, it's going to be vital for businesses to actively listen to people with lived experience to make sure companies are designing, manufacturing, or investing in technology that's truly accessible for all users. One 2019 study found that in the UK, retailers are losing 17 million pounds, that's 26.5 million Canadian dollars a year in sales, because they aren't meeting the online shopping needs of customers who have a disability. These customers are clicking away from retailer sites without making a purchase. Disability is a market to be reckoned with and expanded into. Globally, there are over 5 billion consumers in the disability market, 1.8 billion people who have a disability, plus their family and friends. And here's the kicker. They control about US $13 trillion in disposable income. Next slide, please. So that's the backstory to our 2022 NDEAM campaign theme. In any campaign, you always have key messages you want to get across. Well, this is an important message, that disability inclusion is driving both of these things, not just the future of work. And it's important to remember this, not only during NDEAM for 31 days, but every day, 24/7. The Valuable Truth Report 2022 found that businesses do seem to be getting this message and understanding the importance of it. According to the report, for businesses, customer-focused improvements on disability inclusion is the second largest pool of disability inclusion goals. Because, hey, in the long run, the strength, growth, and success of a company comes down to its employees and its customers and the diversity, equity, and inclusion of all of them. Next slide, please. And here's another key message in this year's campaign. Businesses need to make sure that disability is part of the DEI conversation, because diversity, equity, and inclusion as a whole is driving the future of work. And disability inclusion is part of this driving force, not just gender and ethnicity. But still too often, disability is left out of the DEI business conversation. And because disability is diversity, well, this means more businesses still need to rethink and change how they recruit, hire, and retain people who have a disability. Next up, please. So now we've come to what we're doing in this campaign throughout October. I mentioned off the top, it's an engaging campaign with many elements designed to inspire, inform, motivate, and educate. A lot of it is social media based on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. There'll be statistics and interesting factoids about disability and employment, sharing of member success stories. Our two-part article series will be published on the Odin blog. Each week, we'll have a disability insight from someone who's an expert in the field of disability or someone who has lived experience with disability. Next slide, please. There's an interactive element too. Test your knowledge and awareness with our updated disability myth quiz. The quiz is something you can do during NDEAM or anytime to test your knowledge. You'll find the link on the Odin homepage. Media outreach has been a big part of our NDEAM campaign since 2019. Last year's PR campaign was hugely successful. And if you haven't listened to our podcast, You Can't Spell Inclusion Without a D, it's on Podbean, and there are links to the episodes on our website under the News tab. A new episode will be released on October 25th. Also, we're working on a few Odin Connection events during the month of October. Stay tuned for announcements about those. And then there's our big main event during NDEAM. Next slide, please. The third annual Light It Up for NDEAM. We started it in 2020. That year it was Ontario-wide, a first ever event of its kind in the province. In 2021, we took it national in collaboration with the Canadian Association for Supported Employment, Mentorability Canada, and community agencies across the country. Well, it was another first. Last year, over 300 locations, 113 communities in 10 provinces and 2 territories lit up purple and blue for one night. This year, Jobsability Canada is joining in the collaboration. So far, 40 cities, 60 locations across 7 provinces from coast to coast have confirmed participation. Some of them are back for the 3rd straight year. Places participating this year, including BC Place in Vancouver, the Calgary Tower, the CN Tower, the world famous Niagara Falls again, and the Summerside and Charlottetown City Halls, to name a few. It all happens the 3rd Thursday of every October. This year, October 20th. But Light It Up for NDEAM is much more than a one-night only coordinated lighting event to raise awareness. It's fast becoming a movement that ignites conversation about disability inclusion in business, employment, and our communities. Now, wait a minute, what's that? You've never heard of Light It Up for NDEAM? Next slide, please. Well, here's where you can find out all about it. Visit the Odin website to learn the details and how you can get involved between now and October 20th. Next slide, please. So, are you energized, jump-started, kick-started, and turbocharged yet? Ready to participate? When you've downloaded the Leave Behind, that's the image on the slide, from the NDEAM PR kit, feel free to share it widely with your contacts and in your networks. Other sharing you can do to motivate and inspire during the NDEAM campaign. Share your own weekly posts of interesting, informative facts and stats related to driving the future of work with disability inclusion on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Join in the theme with us. Promote your own success stories related to the theme and tag Odin. Share our Disability Insights post every week. Listen to and share our podcast episodes. Organize a community event. And of course, get involved in Light It Up for NDEAM. And if you're an Odin member, we have more exclusive resources available. If you're not an Odin member, well, now's a great time to become one. Next slide, please. The NDEAM PR toolkit will be up on the website soon. The kit just keeps growing. Some new resources for 2022 will be added closer to the start of October. If you're an Odin member listening this morning, there will be exclusive resources just for you. Which brings me to why to think about becoming an Odin member in the next few days. Next slide, please. Because again this year, there's another close-up view webinar that's exclusively for Odin members. That's happening Thursday, September 15th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a more detailed look at the campaign and the campaign resources we developed that will be available in the member portal. If you're a member, follow the link in the chat to log in and register. Next slide, please. Well, I have to say, now, are you jazzed? Are you ready to get involved and participate with us? NDEAM's fast approaching. What part are you geared up to play in October? Next slide, please. These are the hashtags for this year's campaign. Be sure to use them when you're posting and sharing content on social media. And we've come to the end. That's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to the audience for our Q&A. We can just flip to the last slide there, Sue. Now, if anyone has any questions, ask away. You can ask them live or put them in the chat. And if you forget what you were going to ask and think of it afterwards, that's plenty okay. Just send me an email at the address on your screen. Thank you for listening this morning.
So Dean, I do not have any questions in the chat right now. So if you have a question, please unmute yourself or put it in the chat. And Dean is here to answer your questions.
I don't have any questions. And
Wow.
just a reminder for everybody, if you think of a question, a lot of you have met Dean previously, so feel free to just send him an email. His email address is daskin, so DASKIN at odenetwork.com. You can phone, excuse me, you can phone Dean at extension 107, and he'll get back to you as well. I think, Sue, that a question did just pop up.
Yep. Question is from Linda Simpson. Do we let you know if we sign any employers on to participate? So yes, Linda, you would let us know on the website, as well as I will try to find the link and put it in the chat. You can fill it out, or the business can fill it out, and they just let us know that they're going to participate, and we add them to the list of participating locations. I'm just going to try to find that right now.
And Dean, if somebody's having a challenge with using the tools, again, they can just reach out to you to let you know what business is signing on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm happy to help with pretty much anything that anything that anybody needs some help with. I think I saw a question from Tammy Logan in the chat about getting a copy of the PowerPoint.
Yes.
This webinar has been recorded and will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, and there'll be a link to it that will be available on the NDEAM webpage when it goes live. That'll be in the next few days.
And thank you, Ingrid. Ingrid just shared the SurveyMonkey, which is the location submission form, in the chat.
Yes, because I know from last year and even this year, some organizations are participating. They've asked questions about the broader NDEAM campaign, but they're also looking at participating in Light It Up for NDEAM as being their NDEAM campaign. So yes, anytime, whenever you have, if you're going to participate in Light It Up for NDEAM, make sure you send in your submission of locations participating using the submission form, because we're using that to track the number of locations that will be included in a national news release.
Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. As mentioned, Dean's email is up on the screen, and Jeanette gave it to us. So it is now 11:32. We appreciate everybody's time for coming, and we look forward to having you participate in not only NDEAM, but our Light It Up for NDEAM campaign.